Leinster were then the Stormers at the Aviva. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. The final score in this one might suggest that it was a little bit more comfortable for Leinster than it really was. They were, really had to work hard during the game to, get to that position where towards the end then space opened up and they were able to kind of pull away from the Stormers. But, early on, they are looking for a fast start. MacLeod, who I thought had a decent game, hits a sweet 50-22. And, he's another one of those players that just reminds you how much talent is there in the Leinster squad. And also, again, even though I'm a Leinster fan, it kind of raises the question of, should more of these players be going to other provinces as well? Because you're looking at players, playing in this game, they don't get that many, opportunities at Leinster that you could definitely see, at one of the other provinces, certainly, doing pretty well there and probably getting, more regular game time as well. But yeah, nice 50-22 from him. Leinster go over the top on the line out on purpose to Barrett. He makes good ground, recycle, but then Snyman knocks on. Good early signs from them. Stormers then get pinged at the breakdown and Byrne calls for the tee and he makes it 3-0. Leinster then win the scrum penalty, kick that to the edge of 22, over the top again, and Stormers concede another penalty at the breakdown. Leinster goes to the corner this time. Line out over the top for the third time. This time, though, it's the first time that they didn't actually plan to do it. But Weber actually knocks the ball on. Attacking scrum to Leinster. Deegan off the back of the scrum. Forwards truck it up for a few phases. Then they go to the backs and to width. Geordie Barr puts Andrew Osborne over in the corner. Converted by Byrne for 10-0. Then Alex Soroka pinged for playing the line. Stormers kick up the line into the 22. Soroka, another one of those players that, he's there in the Leinster, in the Leinster squad. He's well behind, a lot of players in the pecking order, especially the fact that he's had, a long injury layoff as well. But the guy is a real talent, and, I'd love to see more of him. Like, of the kind of younger bunch of players, he's been one of my favourites, especially since, like, a couple of seasons ago, on the South African tour, he really was a standout. Stormers then go through the phases, but they knock it on after kicking up the line into 22. They, though, win a scrum penalty on halfway. Lebock gets, a good meterage out of his kick, bring them up to about 10 metres out. Their line-out malfunctions, goes over the top, but Sheehan knocks on as he tries to claim it, so they now have an attacking scrum 10 metres out. They get the nudge in the scrum, penalty advantage, they spread it. Lovely long pass from Lebock to Gallant, and then he puts Loader over in the corner. Lebock adds the extras for 10-7. And, nice finish there from the Stormers. They then move the ball in their own half, but they're under pressure from that Leinster defence. Ball goes loose. Byrne dives on it, but then Loader gets over it to win the penalty. I thought Loader, Loader and Gallant had really good games, honestly, for the Stormers. Lebock then has a kick charged down by Sheehan. Loader gets isolated as he claims the ball. Leinster get the penalty, go up the line from that. They win another penalty for not rolling away. Then they go to the corner. Snyman claims a line out. Leinster spread it, from the back of the maul. They go wide to low, but the move breaks down. Liam Turner, who, he was having some treatment while the line out, while they were setting up for the line out, before the line out, during the line out, and then after the line out as well. And he has to come off, so he's replaced by Charlie Tector. So wish him a speedy recovery, because he's another one of those players who, if you look at the likes of Jamie Osborne and Frawley, Turner is one of those players who would feel that he's one of the next players that could potentially make that big step as well. Leinster then win a penalty at the scrum, kick that to the corner. They go over the top unintentionally again, and Snyman gets pinged for crossing. Then have a super offload from Holland. That gets the Stormers on their front foot. Free knocks on in contact though, and Soroka, he claims the ball and then runs a bit and puts in a lovely kick, and the chase is on. It's knocked on by a Stormer's hand, as you know they were just trying to claim that ball before the Leinster chase got there. Then we have a free kick to Leinster at the scrum. They decide to run it. Snyman, with one of his outrageous offloads yet again, low, makes ground out wide. Slimani though gets isolated, and Holland once again over the ball to win the penalty, and good defence from the Stormers there. Then they lose Lebach, I think it was to injury just before the break, while Leinster lose Luke McGrath at the same time. He was getting extensive treatment on the field and had to go off in a trolley as well. So again, wish both of them speedy recoveries. Leinster win a free at a line out and they decide to move it. They go over to the right, then they shift it back left, and really nice hands here. McIreland finds Barrett out to low. He draws cover and then puts Sheehan away to finish in the corner. Conversions missed. It's 15 points to 7 at half time. In the second half then, Stormers offside and Byrne kicks Leinster into 22. Deegan claims a line out and they get a penalty then for collapsing. Decide to go to the corner. Deegan claims again. Stormers disrupt the maul well, but Leinster still have possession. Forwards truck it up. It breaks down though as they go wide. And then we come back for a penalty for Dweber being offside. Sheehan then taps the penalty. Snyman carries and offloads, but at the next ruck then Dweber gets over the ball, wins the penalty, kind of makes up for giving the penalty either way about a minute earlier. Osborne then manages to keep that penalty in field and Leinster attack. Then I think it was Fouche just gets a big bang in the head from his teammate for Mac, because both of them were tackling Soroka. It's one of those where they just kind of both momentum takes them around the side of the player and they kind of smack heads. So I hope he's okay. He looked like he got a busted nose out of it. Leinster then go back to the corner from a kick. And hang on, no, give me a second here. I think I missed. Let me see. Leinster then go back to the corner from another kick, but line out isn't straight. Both teams really struggling with that set piece tonight. And amazingly, like Leinster are actually the better of the two in the line out. Lots of Stormers lineouts going awry as well. Leinster, they're pinning Stormers in their own half. They win another penalty, up the line they go. You feel like they need to get some points out from all this pressure. Soroka, he claims the lineout. Stormers sack them all and Leinster knock it on. But again, they keep on putting that pressure on. They have a penalty 5 meters out, and it came after, I think, a nice kick from Byrne over the defence, and it gave Stormers a line out, but then Leinster actually claimed the ball from that, worked it up to within that 5 meters, got the penalty. Sheehan taps it. He goes close, it's recycled quickly, and then Barrett just glides through a gap and kind of slides over to score. Converted for 22 points to 7, and Leinster beginning now to break the spirit of the Stormers team. They're finding space that wasn't there in that first 60 minutes of the game. Low with a lovely cross kick in the 22, out to Sheehan, who goes over to score the bonus point try, converted for 29-7. Then Low pounces on a loose ball and looks like he's got a try for himself, but we have a TMO check and it's chalked off for a knock on by Deegan. The scrum then, it was pretty even in the first half, but Leinster now just dominant in that area, and they win a scrum penalty to go to the corner. Forwards battering the line, Ball squirts out of the ruck, and Stormers look to run it from their own line, but they actually just pass the ball to Osborne, who dots down to score, converted for 36 points to 7. Stormers then with a really nice intricate move as they're running the ball out of their own 22 with nothing to lose. Really well worked. They're in behind. You think, they're going to score, but Lowe gets back and Zas gets isolated. Just great scramble defence from Leinster there, because that had try written all over it. But Stormers do get another try just before the end. Roots breaks off the back of Maul and over to score. Conversion is missed. 36 points to 12 was the full-time score. So we're going to have a look at the stats, and then we'll talk briefly about each of the teams. So then we just pull them up here. So we're going to start with attack. So 5 tries to 3 or 2 even. 5 tries to 2 in favour of Leinster. Again, Stormer's second try coming right to death. And Leinster, it looked like in the first half, maybe second half could be tight, and it was going to be one of those 20 odd to somewhere in the teens, maybe type of games. But I think once Barrett's try got over for his try, then it just was a lot easier then for Leinster to find that space and add a couple of scores. Possession then 60% to 40%. Leinster just dominating the ball. Clean break 7 to 10. Defenders beaten 16 to 13. So Stormers, doing much better in terms of creating those breaks from the number of defenders that they beat. But that Leinster scramble defence again meant that it didn't really, result in scores for them. Offloads then 10 to 7. Pretty sure Snyman got most of those for Leinster. The guy is just a machine when it comes to that. Territory 69% to 31. Again, as I said, Leinster playing in the right areas of the field for the most part. Number of tackles just 66 for Leinster, 141 for Stormers. Leinster missing 13 tackles to 16. So they had a 79% tackle success to 81 for the Stormers. So, close in the tackle percentage, but then again, Leinster's scramble was the superior of the two teams, and on defence then was the difference as well. Turnovers won then 13 to 6. So Leinster, even when they didn't have the ball, they were, putting lots of pressure on the Stormers and forcing those turnovers to get it back. Kicks retained then 6 to 1 for Leinster. Decent kicking game from them. Onto the discipline then. Penalties conceded 13 for Leinster, 17 for Stormers. Stormers warned at least twice during the game about the number of penalties given away without getting a yellow card, which I think was fair. Like in commentary, they were saying, referees should have sent one of them to the bin at this stage, because they gotten a warning on their line, and then away from the line they gave away 2 more penalties, and then close to the line they give away another penalty, and that's where they get the next warning. But for me, I thought it was fair, because I think the referee, the referee was kind of warning them more in terms of giving away penalties in the red zone, and the fact that they'd relieved the pressure a little bit and gotten the ball up towards halfway for a bit, even though they did concede penalties. I think for me, reset that warning. So I thought that was fair. But neither team will be really happy with conceding that many penalties. Like 13 for a winning team is a lot of penalties to be conceded. Again, I always say you want that number down in the single figures and, as low as possible, really. On to then individual players. So, successful carries, Max Deegan with 8 and 4 for Evan Roos. I thought Roos did pretty well. Again, in a losing side. Deegan, he's got a kind of, you look at the players ahead of him there at Leinster as well. Like he's got, Doris and Conan there, so he's got to bide his time. But when he does play, he delivers. Clean breaks then, Andrew Osborne with 2 and Ben Loader with 3. I thought Loader was absolutely excellent for the Stormers. Defenders beaten then, Jordy Barrett with 6. He was, definitely the standout in the backs for Leinster. Leon Zass with 3 for Stormers. Meters made then, James Lowe 116 and Zas 83. Low, always looking for work. That's something I really like about him. He doesn't just hang out on his wing. Offloads then, RG Statement with 6 offloads, and Warren Gallant with 2. Onto defence then, number of tackles, 6 for Alex Soroka, and Van Herden with 16 for the Stormers. Put in a real shift, that guy. Turnovers 1 then, Luke McGrath with 3. Fair play to him, he really did get in there at the breakdown. And then Hallant with 3 for the Stormers as well. So, the backs on top really in terms of turn the ball over at the breakdown. Now let's talk about each of the teams. We'll start with the home team, Leinster. So, just this game kind of showing how much depth they have there in their squad. Not just young players coming through as well, but recruit really well with the likes of Slimani, Barrett, and then with Sneyman as well, and then those players that have been there seemingly forever, the likes of Deegan and McGrath, etc. there too. Really nice mix in their squad. And I think this year they're getting it, much, finding that balance much better, I think, than they have in the last 3 seasons. Good return to the team as well for Sheehan and Lowe. Line out, not great again. Scrum went well though, and played the game in the right areas of the field and really suffocated the Stormers. Deegan and Sneyman, I think, went well in the pack. And there was a few others in there as well. Like Sheehan on his return was fantastic. He got the player of the match, and rightly so as well. He's one of those players where you can just stick him in almost, to start, and he hits the ground running. Like a lot of players need to kind of feel their way into the game and have a few games until they really get up to, up to their best, but not Dan Sheehan. Dan Sheehan, he's got just that great ability of just stick him in there and he'll get it, things done. I thought Jack Boyle as well, doing well in that front row too. And then, the likes of Brian Deeney, Scott Penny, etc. In the pack, rounded the pack out well. And, Henry McErlin, we talked about him, earlier on in the game, and then Liam Turner there too, in amongst the likes of kind of Ross Byrne, Luke McGrath, etc., who've been kind of mainstays of Leinster, especially when, the big guns are away with the Ireland team as well. But yeah, overall, it's now 10 from 10 for Leinster. I thought Byrne really did guide them well around the field too, and Barrett just showing his class in the backs there too. And this game was potentially a bit of a banana skin for them, but they've negotiated it well now, and we now obviously have to break for some of the Six Nation games, but these guys now, given we got Six Nations and we have the Champions Cup as well, like in the URC, a lot of these guys are going to see a lot of game time too, so they need to keep performing at this level. Stormers then, they managed to do something I didn't think possible this season, and that was to have a worse line out than Leinster, so not really a feather in the cap on that one. Scrum was competitive in the first half, but a bit of a liability really for them in the second 40. Didn't get many entries into the Leinster 22 either. As you saw, with the possession and territory stats there, threw the ball around when the game was already gone, and they still couldn't finish when they got in behind there too. And it does really looks like they're a side that are struggling for confidence. They're one of those teams where if they have a lead and how good they are on turnover ball and counter attack, etc., and if those pay off for them and they get their noses in front, they really do look good. But again, there's a kind of a vulnerability to them that, you know, once things start going a little bit against them and they're behind, or, you know, if they've been ahead and then the other team come over the top of them, that just all begins to crumble under pressure. And, you know, that's, you know, got to be a worry for them there too, because it's last season and it's this season as well, where, you know, they start badly in the URC and then scrambling to try and make the playoffs, whereas the, you know, 2 seasons before that they were right up there, you know, up the top of the log, competing with Leinster on an equal footing. And, you know, they lifted one trophy, got, you know, first year up, got to the final the next year as well, but it seems to be like a downward trajectory for them at the minute. But I still feel like, you know, there's enough talent in that team that they can still go on a run to make the playoffs. And, you know, a Stormers team that are firing and confident, they're going to be a tough prospect later on the season for any team, including Leinster. And let's hope that they do recover their spark, because as I always say, you know, I don't like to see teams, you know, in bad form and playing badly, you know, even when they're playing against my own team. I want to see every team, you know, up there near their best, you know, and just ding dong battles between teams. Those are the kind of things that I really enjoy. You know, I talked about in the kind of the preview for this round, the, you know, that 22-all game between Leinster and Stormers there a couple of seasons ago, where that one was at the RDS, and, you know, Stormers out to a big lead in that one, 17-0. Leinster come back at them, you know, get even, then go ahead 22-17, and then Stormers able to come back again. Like, those are the kind of games that I really enjoy, even though, you know, my team didn't win it. And hopefully, you know, we can see the Stormers back up there again. The South African teams had a torrid time in the Champions Cup, and now, you know, they're switching back to the URC, and hopefully now we can see all of those teams, you know, coming to the fore, along with other teams as well, you know, that, you know, they're rising not because other teams are kind of falling away. They're rising because, you know, of the quality that's there. And that's really what I want to see now in the second half of the season. But that is the end of this one. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.